Hey guys, Jim Grant here for AmmoLand TV, and today we're taking a closer look at this, the Kimber Micro 9 Rapide Black Ice Edition. And yes, it's mandatory that you use that accent when you pronounce the last part of it. So this thing, if you're not familiar with, is one of Kimber's dedicated concealed carry handguns. It is essentially a Micro 1911 that is single action only, magazine fed, and is pretty much built from the ground up to be a deep concealment handgun. Yes, if you've seen my video on the new P365X Macro from SIG, you know that I'm a big fan of that handgun. However, it was not until fairly recently that I was a pretty much exclusive pocket carrier. And I know, oh, that's old-fashioned. You should be carrying a Glock 19 with 600 rounds of mags in your pockets. And yeah, okay, sure. But in South Carolina, it gets hot, and a lot of times, especially if I'm at like a formal event and I'm wearing like a dress coat, I'm not going to do that. So I wanted something like this that I could easily just slip into a pocket, and because I learned to shoot on a 1911, I can utilize this little thumb safety that's ambidextrous very, very easily. So it's a fairly compact handgun with a 3.15 inch barrel, and it's only about 6 inches long and roughly an inch wide. So it does conceal pretty easily. Now it is about 15 ounces because if the gun is all steel, it's fairly substantial, but there's also some pretty cool features on here that are very noteworthy. So we'll start at the front and work our way back. You'll notice that, right off the rip, the slide features these lightning cuts, which, reduce lockup time and increase the slide's velocity, which in turn makes sure that the gun will function even if it's a little bit dirty and or the rounds you're running are not quite hot enough. Above this, dovetailed into the slide, we've got a combination high visibility and tritium night sights. So the rear of which are green and the front is orange, and inside of both these sets of sights, there are these little vials of tritium. So you can see these sights in the dead of night, and they also show up very, very well in broad daylight. Recoil from the firearm is extremely mild for what it is. It's a compact 9, due in no small part to this beaver tail at the rear. I mean, it truly is a 1911, though unlike an actual 1911, you can have the hammer cocked and the safety on and still rack the slide, which you cannot do on a true 1911 because it'll block it. But 7+1 round capacity. It's got that very iconic 1911 style trigger. The grips are made of a micarta, which is a glue impregnated linen, which is effectively indestructible. The stuff is super rigid, and it keeps its shape and it keeps its kind of rough texture, which is good for your hands are sweaty or wet or whatever. And all the controls on here are fairly easy to actuate, but they're still not like low snag, low drag. So when you're drawing this from concealment, you're not going to take off your pants or worse yet, whip the gun into the stratosphere as you try to quickly draw your handgun on an attacker. In terms of accuracy, I've been seeing this thing get about 4 to 5 MOA, which is due to, look how short the sight radius is. There's not much to it. The benefit of that short sight radius, though, is that you can very quickly acquire a sight picture. The downside, of course, being that it's so short, it's hard to get a hyper precise one. Although it's a 3.15 inch barrel on a compact 9mm, you're not going to be doing 50-yard target shooting. This is designed basically as a last-ditch gun, or within 10 yards. Unless, of course, you stumble upon an active shooter at like a shopping mall or school, then by all means, we know it can be done. Now, according to my Lehman trigger scale, the trigger on this gun breaks at about 7.5 pounds, which can seem a little bit heavy, but it's very, very crisp. The break is clean and the over travel is like non-existent. So it's not gonna be like on a heavy double action revolver where you're like, wait, bam. It's kind of bam, bam. Follow-up shots are very, very easy. And in the course of this review, I've put roughly 800 to 900 rounds of ammo through this gun, primarily concealed carry rounds, like 135 grain Hornady ammo, critical defense, or 124 grain Federal Hydra-Shoks, and even Winchester's Black Talon ammo, and I've had no problems, no malfunctions whatsoever. The only weird aspect about the gun in terms of reliability I have found is that sometimes when you extract a magazine before running it empty, or before, not on an empty chamber rather, with the slide down, is occasionally you'll have a round stripped off the top of the magazine, though not usually. As far as additional magazines, it comes with 2. They're 7+1 rounds. One has a finger extension right here, the other one does not. And if you want more mags, you can either buy them from Kimber, but additionally, this gun does use SIG 938 magazines, but you'll have to remove the special polymer base plate on them to make it run. I don't know if those are any cheaper, but essentially if you find a compact 9mm 1911 style handgun, odds are it uses the same magazines or some variation thereof. So is it worth it? If you don't want to carry in a holster and you want a concealed carry gun that you can easily pocket carry, that has a manual safety and is very reliable, has very little recoil, and is extremely accurate, yeah, it's a fantastic buy, but you're going to pay for it. The Micro 9 Rapide Black Ice Edition from Kimber has an MSRP of $857, so it is by no means an inexpensive handgun. Though it's Kimber, you're not really looking to Kimber to buy cheap stuff. And plus, it's kind of a relic of a bygone era in the sense that there's nothing polymer on this gun other than the base plate. So, should you buy one? It entirely depends on what you're looking for out of a concealed carry gun. If you were like me back in the day and want a pocket carry, it's a fantastic pocket carry gun. And the only reason I even stopped pocket carrying is because now I have a toddler who climbs on me, and I am never going to carry a handgun without a holster with his little feet climbing up my legs and waist and whatnot. Anyway, for MOLAND TV, I'm Jim Grant. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you guys on the flip side.